Hello everybody and welcome to Apple Autos. In today's video we are going to be looking at a used vehicle from Apple Chevrolet Northfield. It is this 2000 Chevrolet Corvette convertible, and today I'm going to go over why I think the C5 Corvette might just be the greatest generation of Corvette ever made. Now before I get into explaining why I think the C5 Corvette is the greatest generation of Corvette, I need to mention this vehicle is currently for sale, like I mentioned, at Apple Chevrolet in Northfield. So if you guys are interested in checking out this beautiful C5 convertible with only just over 70,000 miles on it, be sure to check the link out down in the description below. The C5 Corvette was released in the mid-90s after the so-called GM fail of a C4. Now the C4 didn't sell nearly as many units as GM was hoping that it would. However, there was some really great models. The C4 ZR1 was the fastest, or pretty much the fastest vehicle of all time at the time, with its Lotus-inspired dual overhead cam small block V8. It truly was a masterpiece, making 405 horsepower, truly tremendous numbers at the time. Now GM really needed to step up their game when coming to the new Corvette, because they wanted it to sell like nothing else. And just a quick fact for you, the C5 Corvette was the greatest selling Corvette of all time to date. Now when developing the C5 Corvette, GM's plan was to make the most high performance vehicle that they possibly could for the lowest price that they possibly could make it for. Now what they did was they developed a transaxle for the C5 Corvette, which means the transmission is sitting in the back, which allowed better weight distribution. Now Chevy also needed to come up with a new motor for the Corvette to make it, well, stand out from the crowd, and they made the LS1, which is a small block pushrod V8, 5.7 liter, and it is one of the most legendary motors to date because it brought what we call the LS swap to the community. Now the reason the LS swap came to be is because of the legendary motor that is under the hood of this here Corvette. The LS1 was an incredibly powerful, reliable, easy to find parts for, easy to work on, simple pushrod V8 that was just plain old good. And it was more than good, it was great. Everybody absolutely adores the engine that this Corvette generation brought to life, and that is one of the many reasons why I think it is the greatest Corvette of all time. That motor mixed with the transaxle overall saved the Corvette. It made the C6, the C7, the C8 come to life because the Corvette was going to die off if this didn't succeed, and it did more than succeed. It was the greatest selling Corvette of all time. And when I say it sold well, I mean it sold really well. From 1997 to 2004, 248,715 C5 Corvettes rolled off of that production line in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is just tremendous. This car truly saved the Corvette when it comes to sales that GM was hoping for. And let's talk about why else it's so good. The C5 Z06 is what a lot of authors and writers specifically call the first Corvette that was a supercar. Now there was a iteration or a trim of the Corvette that was called the Z06, which was the lightest C5 that they made. It was a hardtop coupe, or an FRC, which was the most rigid and light body of the Corvette that they ended up making. It also featured an updated version of the LS1 called the LS6, which in the later years put out 405 horsepower versus the 345 that the LS1 in this trim puts out. Now, the C5 Z06 was pretty much the fastest car in the world. It went around tracks faster than pretty much anything else. It was a Ferrari killer. It was incredibly fast for the small price of around $50,000, which is $100,000 in today's money. Now, the crazy thing is that there wasn't that many differences between the Z06 and the base. There was a lot of differences, but for the price point, at $16,000, which you could purchase this C5 for, versus I would say the majority of the market appears to be $5,000 to $8,000 more for a Z06. If you put $5,000 to $8,000 in mods or aftermarket into a C5, the performance vehicle that you can have is truly a bargain. It beats vehicles that are 10 years newer, 20 years newer now. You know, Challenger Scat Packs, a $50,000 car, Charger Scat Packs. these can keep up with them. It's not just straight line speed with the C5, it truly was an amazing car in the corners with pretty heavy steering and a great feeling clutch and Tremec 6-speed manual transmission that this one's hooked up to. It was a fantastic driver's car, and it still is, which is why it's the generation of Corvette that I pick. I actually personally own a C5 Z06. I've driven it across the country, and I could not be happier with this generation of Corvette. I truly think that it is the greatest generation of Corvette on the road. It's the generation that saved the Corvette. It started so many things for future years of the Corvette. And I absolutely love the pop-up headlights, the body design. The interior is a bit dated, but it still is pretty solid and super easy to find parts for. Now, if you guys are interested in purchasing this C5 and joining me in the C5 club, be sure to check out the link down in the description below so you can come test drive and maybe take home this C5 convertible. Thank you guys so much and have a great rest of your day.